65 health plans where seniors thrive.
Today on Secure 65 Health Plans podcast, we are beyond honored to welcome a visionary leader whose influence has been felt at the highest levels of government, business, and community empowerment. Darryl Ricardo Matthews Sr. is not only a distinguished executive with a legacy of transformational leadership, he is a force of nature in the world of public service, organizational advancement, and intergovernmental affairs. Currently serving as the Director of Business Development and Intergovernmental Affairs for Vendorship, Inc., Darryl brings to the table decades of experience that span the federal government, municipal operations, and some of the most powerful and impactful associations in the country. From serving as the interim president and CEO of the National Society of Black CPAs to championing outreach as a congressional liaison for the 2020 U.S. Census, Darryl's leadership has always been about creating access, visibility, and long-term solutions for underserved communities. But it doesn't stop there. He has helmed executive positions at historic institutions, including the National Association of Black Journalists, the National Medical Association, and the National Association of Black Accountants, just to name a few. And for those of you who know the legacy of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity, Inc., Darryl served both as executive director and later as the fraternity's general president, where he helped lead one of the most iconic civil rights tributes in American history, the construction of the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial on the National Mall. Yes, he helped pass the legislation. And yes, he stood at the groundbreaking. And yes, his leadership has helped shape the legacy of Dr. King for generations to come. Mr. Matthews has also worked alongside the White House Presidential Advance Team, coordinated events for heads of state, and served on countless national boards in finance, hospitality, and nonprofit sectors. His expertise is vast, his vision is bold, and his heart for service is undeniable. Please join me in welcoming the incomparable, the unstoppable Mr. Darryl R. Matthews Sr. to the podcast. Welcome, Darryl. Did you like that?
Oh, it was great. Thank you. I wondered who you were talking about at first. I was wondering, is there another guest on the show today? So thank you.
No, you're wonderful. You know, we go back a few years. We're not going to talk about how many years back, but the idea that I knew very young as a child that you were going to be unbelievable in anything that you touched because you had that type of ability. You know, what you touched, whatever you went for, you were so laser focused that I knew whatever you decided you wanted to do, you would do it and you would do it well. So we're going to dive into a little bit about that because how did this, I don't even know what words actually describe you, Darryl. How did you become the man that we all love, appreciate, respect, admire, and want all of our sons and friends to be like? How did that come about?
You know, I say often it's sometimes better to be lucky than to be smart. Intelligence plays a role in our decision making, right? And I found myself where we grew up in Kansas City, just kind of rambling through life. I was ROTC cadet in high school, and I grew up as an Army brat many military installations following my father around. And so I was used to structure. I was used to order. And at about the age of 13, my father gave me a book, a military field manual on military leadership. And he used to always talk to me about things that leaders do. Because he used to say, people who learn to speak and learn to speak well will always be the leader. People who don't will always have to follow the leader. And he would say those things, and I'd take them in, but I'm a kid. It just, oh, okay, pass right over my head. I'm having fun doing, there was a comedian that I forget the name, used to do John F. Kennedy with the Boston accent. And I'd spend a lot of time, even hours on this Grundig tape recorder, reel to reel, where we could play it back and forth to hear, trying to pick up that accent or that dialect, that Boston dialect. And so, a lot of this was just being a kid. And then we would have these moments where he had learned some poems growing up, not the ones that I'm most familiar with now, but I remember he used to we were standing in the mirror, sharing a bathroom in this little roughed out bathroom in our basement that he had built, because in his house, the good bathroom, like everything else, was for the women. Everything else was for the men. And so I had a bedroom in the basement, because you're the man, you're the boy, and when I'm not here, you're in charge. And there were these rules. So I decided then I wanted to be a lawyer at the time. And I remember my Uncle Jesse, bless his heart, he was a maintenance guy at Consolidated Freight. So we're going to pick up some furniture. So I went to buy some furniture. Uncle Jesse was going to pick it up in his truck. So he asked me, what did I want to do in life? And I said, well, I want to be a lawyer. And he proceeded to tell me, well, that's all right, but lawyers are a dime a dozen. You need to get you something with a future. You need to get you a truck so that you can pick up, and he had calculated the number of trash hauls that he picked up on the Saturday. My point is, Uncle Jesse was a good guy. He was a hardworking man. He owned 2-3 flats side by side in Kansas City, where everybody in the family that moved to Kansas City stayed in one of those units at some point.
Nice.
But he was not where I wanted to go. I appreciated all that he had done for the family and for me, but I knew he didn't understand that my focus was different. And I started understanding within me that I needed to be more intentional.
That's unbelievable. Okay, so I have a question now that you said all that. Do you think leaders are born or created?
I think leaders are developed.
Okay.
Everybody who wants to be a leader is not necessarily capable of leadership. And so you've got to constantly grow. They say leaders are readers. If you're not self-aware, you've got to be self-aware, and you've got to be on a path of self-improvement. Because just like athletes, professional athletes have coaches to work on it. I don't care how well they've done in high school, how well they've done in college. When you get to the professional level, you have to constantly look to improve, because there are other people on the other side of the ball who are looking to improve their game because they want to win as well. So as a leader, I've gone through many stages of development, self-introspection, and advice from mentors. And that's another important aspect. I've been very fortunate because I've had some good mentors to reach out, to grab me, and to lead me along. And I'm talking about some guys who could have easily just, walked right by me and kept going. Because you might recall, in the age of Aquarius, we're talking the 70s now, not to put age on anybody, but I decided after ROTC to grow my hair into the fro, which was fashionable at that time. And you could have really easily looked right past me as oh, that's one of those wild guys that, that brother's untamed. And I was fortunate that men of substance saw me for me. And I remember, I must, tell this story. The president of the alumni chapter of the Alphas, at that time I was a college student, out of nowhere, Brigadier General, the late Charles McGee, asked me if I wanted to take a ride with him to meet a dignitary that was coming to town. And I thought, wow, I didn't see this coming. Sure, I'll go. I meet this gentleman named James R. Williams, who is a candidate for lieutenant governor in the state of Ohio. He is a regional officer in Alpha Phi Alpha. And we meet that day for the first time. And he had other college brothers and older brothers coming to his suite at the Mulebach Hotel in Kansas City, because there's going to be a regional convention there in the spring. And we're talking, leaving the airport, just the three of us in the car, and I'm just being Darryl, just gregarious and hospitable. And we get to his suite, and throughout the day, the afternoon, he makes a comment to the group that was particularly complimentary to me, about me, and said that I should run for political office. And now I'm a sophomore, junior in college. He said, you need to run for political office in the fraternity. I hadn't thought about it. Wasn't on my mind. I'm the only son. I got two younger sisters. I had some male cousins, but I'm looking for camaraderie. I'm looking for brotherhood and male companionship to learn, because I have these young brothers, some a couple of years older than me, that just as smooth as they could be. I mean, just looking at them, I learned a lot about carrying myself. I mean, iron sharpens iron. The scripture says iron sharpens iron. I got a lot of direct, incidental, and coincidental development training from other men who showed me what it means to be a man to them. And of course, I have to fashion my own way. But the point, there was no way in the world I was expecting Charles McGee to call my house, my mother's house, and ask me to ride out to the airport with him to meet somebody who later became the general president of Alpha and asked me to apply for a position in our national office, which I did. And then others I worked with identified me and helped move me along. Not everybody was a Darryl Matthews fan. Yeah. And you run into those people that are just determined to either destroy you or to hamper you on your journey. And they are just as important as the ones who hold you up, because they teach you. They teach you that everybody's not going to like you. They make you sharp. They make you keep your head on a swivel. And so I've learned from those also. I've learned who to look out for, and I learned to develop a high EQ, emotional intelligence.
Very important now.
It's very important. There's a lot of people don't have a clue.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Darryl, your work, speaking of that, because it's so diverse, spanning government, healthcare, media, accounting, all systems that deeply impact our families, right?
Right.
How do you connect those dots in the strategy that you're building now so that we're seniors, how we're still relative, and explain to them how in this environment, in our current environment, how important it is that we come together as a real family, not saying we're family, but actually acting as family?
And having been a product of the age of Aquarius, that was a time the Black folks actually spoke to each other with some reverence, with some respect, with a sense of homogeneity of our community. Prior to that time, when I was a kid, I understand segregation, we had no choice
Yes.
but to circulate dollars in our own community, to invest in our own community. And there have been instances where we were successful at it, and other communities came and destroyed and killed people in our community, but we should not let that be the legacy. We've got to go back to a place and a time, and that's what I saw. I went to work for Alpha Phi Alpha, not just because I was asked to do it, but because I saw this as an institution, and there weren't many that, using their own dollars, were investing in the development of Black males, especially young Black males who needed guidance. And I saw that. I served on the board of directors at the Niles Home for Children.
I remember that.
And you see children who need support, who need direction, and we're begging for financing for these children from outside the community. And I determined there comes a time where we have to be willing and ready to do for ourselves, or to do more for ourselves. We don't turn away any support, but we've got to be the progenitors, the facilitators of that support. And so I started out my career in the fraternity with an opportunity to engage with young brothers, to try to give them some guidance. And you know, the old saying, there are those who can do and those who can't teach. I've given many lectures to young brothers on not doing what I did. So going to these different organizations, to your point, was an opportunity for me to help strengthen the infrastructure of our community, to try to get us all on to understand the mission. And it has been a challenge because we have these organizations are managed by people who don't have a clue about management. They want to get on the boards because it's a popularity contest. They want to be able to add it to their resume. And we have serious work to do in terms of building an infrastructure and a foundation in our community. And you can see by just monitoring some of these organizations, the governance, the tolerance for people to miss the malfeasance, for people to mishandle or mismanage the money of others, for people to, I'll say embezzle, because that's what it is, there's a word I want where you have access, you're a fiduciary. You have access to the corporate credit card, and then you find out that people are taking advances against the corporate credit card, not filling out expense reports, spending it for personal use, car repairs, what have you. And you want to help guide people. You want to change things. You want to fix things. I was brought into every organization I worked for because I was known to be a change agent. But you get there and then you find out, oh yeah, no, we didn't want you to change our stuff. Our stuff is fine. We wanted you to change their stuff. You know, they hand you on your first day a list of staff members that they want you to get rid of. Now these people have been there for years. They don't have a evaluation on file. Somebody has to try to bring some strategic direction and focus to these organizations. And then you start wondering, do they really care? Because these are organizations that have brought us thus far. You know, the church, the HBCUs, our Masonic fraternal organizations. And then you start realizing there's a lot more work to do in that community than you initially thought. And that's been my mission, to try to bring us to a point of strategic planning, to focus with a mission statement. We don't have to operate like the Mystic Knights of the Sea, a reference to the old Amos and Andy TV show, radio show. Mystic Knights of the Sea was sort of like a Masonic organization, a fraternal organization, where mischief and mayhem was the order of the day, not the focus. Our organizations are supposed to be rebuilding our communities. They are supposed to make sure, I mean, what happened to our black banks? They have disappeared literally. I mean, we've got a few of them, but not like we used to. There was a time where we were putting money in our own institutions, and we got integrated, and we decided we don't need our own institutions anymore. But then now we have situations where you can go to a bank, a known bank, a large retail bank, and get the police called on you because you're trying to cash a check or deposit a check into an account you have, or to take out money that you own. And so we've got to learn to do for self. And if I could leave a legacy of any sort, it would be a blueprint for to stop celebrating civil rights events that happened over 50 years ago and start building. Dr. King said, "I have a dream." He didn't develop a plan for us. He expected us to do that. And here we are 50 plus years later, and there's no plan.
I agree with Darryl. Darryl Matthews Sr. leaves us with a truth that hits hard but rings clear. It's been over 50 years since Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. gave us the dream, and yet, all these years later, we still don't have a plan. And that's exactly where we pick up next. But first, let's talk about what we just experienced. In this moving and powerful first installment, we sat down with the incomparable Darryl R. Matthews Sr. to explore not just his accolades, but his heart. Yes, he's a giant in leadership, business, and intergovernmental affairs. But today, we met Darryl the person, the young man with dreams, the mentor with purpose, the soul who leads with humility, humor, and a deep calling to serve. This conversation wasn't just about titles, and it sure wasn't about tearing anyone down. It was the truth, about support, about lifting each other up. And if you're tired of the noise and ready to be part of a community that believes in healing, growth, and legacy, well, you're in the right place. What's our biggest takeaway? Well, the real crisis isn't just Medicare preparation or underinsurance. Those are symptoms. The root? A lack of financial literacy, strategic mentorship, and generational knowledge. If we want to be free, we must be informed. We must be connected. We must be empowered. And that's why Secure 65 Health Plans exists. We don't just talk about problems. We hand you the blueprint. We introduce you to real people with real plans and show you how they turn vision into action. This is not your average podcast about insurance. We talk about health. We talk about wealth. We talk about spirit, food, fitness, community, and how it all connects to how we age, how we thrive, and how we leave a legacy. Because let's be honest, if you know more about a celebrity's love life than your own retirement options, it's time for a mentor. So thank you, Darryl Matthews Sr., for blessing us with your wisdom and presence. Coming up in part 2, we'll unpack the issues impacting us all right now, how to prepare for the unexpected, how to invest wisely, and how to help our children do the same. So you guys don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Share with someone who needs a breakthrough. Like if you felt the truth in today's message. And before we go, I have some big news. The Love and Trust Tour kicks off in August. If you want to participate in the fun, the activities, food, drinks, and fraud prevention, and technology seminars, reach out to us right now. Plus, Collaborative Expansion Foundation is officially launching our nationwide Senior Advocate of the Year contest. What is it called? What do you see when you see me? With a $10,000 award to honor the caregiver who has shown the most heart and impact. Nominate someone amazing, or even nominate yourself if you feel that you fit the bill. So before we go, do you want to plan? Do you want to understand why we are where we are? And more importantly, how we rise from here together? Then meet me right back here for part 2 of the groundbreaking series, Empowering Minority Families Across Generations, a conversation on strategy, seniors, and civic unity. We're going beyond the dream, you guys. We're going into action, into strategy, and into legacy. Because a dream without a plan is just a wish. And we've been wishing long enough. This is the movement. This is the moment. And this is just the beginning. I'm Monet Swan, and this is Secure 65 Health Plans, where seniors thrive. Love you guys.
Secure 65 class plans, we're singing thrive. Secure 65 health plans, where seniors 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 thrive. Secure 65 health plans where seniors thrive.
Vivex Wealth Insurance Solutions.